all. Andrew, help us understand this new ruling, the impact it could have on Trump's myriad legal cases.
Well, everyone's eye is not on this case, but on the criminal case in Washington, D.C., because the allegations in that case revolve around what the former president did in his last days in office. So it's unrelated, for instance, to the Florida case where it deals with conduct after he was in office. So everyone's focusing on whether there was presidential immunity for the D.C. criminal case. And at least, as you said, the case today came up in connection with a civil case. And by its terms, it says it does not deal with a claim with respect to criminal immunity. But having said that, the tea leaves reading here seems pretty strong that the former president is going to not prevail either in the district court or in the Court of Appeals in D.C., so that his really remaining shot for presidential immunity is the Supreme Court. And that seems like a long shot in this case.
And I promise we'll get to the Supreme Court in just a second. But Andrew, just to underline what you said there about the criminal case out of D.C., the Washington Post writing, quote, "The question of whether such immunity applies to Trump's federal criminal case in D.C. still needs to be weighed by U.S. District Court Judge Tanya S. Chutkan. That decision is also certain to be appealed." Andrew, your sense of when we can expect to hear from Judge Chutkan?
I hate to use the term imminently, because Fani Willis used that famously in Georgia in, I think, January, but we didn't get an indictment until the summer. But I think that Judge Chutkan quite rightly was waiting to see if this decision would come down and provide guidance, because she is a district court judge in the same circuit, so that she is going to be bound by any decision that comes from the circuit. So having said all that, the answer to your question is I would think that we could expect a decision next week. She understands that this is the decision, the presidential immunity decision in her case is the one that will certainly go to the circuit, and it may go to the Supreme Court. And if there's one thing that could derail the March 4th date that she said is set in stone, it's that appeal process. So she is going to have every incentive to really get her decision out. But obviously, she's going to digest the work today of the circuit court in this civil case.
Luke.